Archduke Ferdinand found alive working in Starbucks in Utica. Elon Musk grows second, more attractive head. Will Smith spooked by Carillion death ray. Dolphin grows human arms, seeks career in hairdressing. Harvard study, 2/3 of the population actually ghosts. World population, no more than 3 billion.
Take it away.
We'll do it live!
Every morning, I make the same mistake. I wake up and I wipe the ash and burger gunk out of my eyes and I read the news. And when I say I read the news, I mean I probably read less than 10% of the news. I scroll, and I scroll, and I scroll. And sometimes I'll find an article that's actually interestingly titled, so I won't click on it. I'll look at the comments to see if this article is worth reading. But none of them really are. Because it's always the same. This world is a massive coitus orgy covered in shit. And you're not invited. But you are there. I don't know, maybe you're like a waiter or something. You know, it's going on all around you. And what I'm saying is that you're getting the shit flicked on you, but you're not even getting off. And that's the end of the video. The reason it's a mistake is because as soon as I start to read the news, there is a sudden burst of cortisol going through
my tiny mind.
And I already experienced a sudden burst of cortisol by drinking loads of coffee in the morning and also, you know, remembering where I am. In a cave in Ecuador, 250,000 feet below sea level. A man went mental and killed a load of kitties. You like kitties, don't you? Not like that. Just like them being alive. Well, they're not alive, they're dead. Check out their parents' response. They're very sad. Another man killed a load of kitties too, through policy. It's day 105,769 of the government doing absolutely nothing other than enriching themselves. At some point in human existence, I'm guessing about 15,000, 20,000, 100,000 years ago, something snapped. I don't know if that's becoming sentient and self-aware or if it just coincided. Maybe there's a race out there of aliens who are actually just really normal and smart. And they're looking at us like, that could have been us. We'll have to bomb every planet we find life on now. So the product really is rage. And of course it is, because the rage comes from, oh, the world is so fucked up in all these different ways, and I can do nothing about it. And even though no one else can do anything about it, put the 10 richest men in the world together in a room, I bet they couldn't do anything about it, or at least wouldn't. I think that's where it comes from. Who are you going to vote for? Corrupto 1 or Corrupto 2? Did you know the world's fucked? Did you know the world's fucked? Did you know that the world is fucked? Yes, I did. What do you want me to do? And it leads me to this terrible avenue of thinking, I wish I was ignorant. Yeah, I wish someone said, hey George, someone shut up a Walmart. And my answer could be, what's a Walmart? What's shut up? Well, someone. Who are you? Where am I? I'm busy playing video games, of which I know nothing. But then, of course, I would want to find out what all of those things are. So, really, the problem isn't ignorance, it's ignorance of ignorance. Or lack of that. I wish I was stupid. Really stupid. I don't wish I was stupid at all. I wish I was a cat. Meow. It's sort of like this time that my mum, my grandma, and I were watching 10 Rillington Place. I was about 8 years old. A little bit inappropriate, really. But I seem to remember it was the sort of film that they'd put on at about 5 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon on Channel 5. And anyway, if you don't know what it's about the real-life serial killer Christie, who mostly or almost exclusively murdered women by giving them backstreet abortions, but then just killing them. And I don't think explicitly it's in the film, but, you know, he was a nuh, as my grandma said to my mum at the end of the movie. You know, wasn't he? He was Christie. He was a nuh. And my mum looking at me, 8 years old, going, Don't ask that, because he's going to want to know what a nut is. And yes, he was a nut. It was a no. And then my grandma just goes, he was a necrophiliac. But don't ask what that means, George. So that day I found out what a necrophiliac is.
Ah, the news!
But it's not just the terrible thing has happened, or terrible thing is probably almost certainly about to happen headlines. The other day, I accidentally watched live TV for the first time in a while, and ABC News came on, daytime ABC News. And they had an expert call in from her Cape Cod mansion, talking about food insecurity this Thanksgiving and Christmas in America. And over 2 minutes, she literally said, well, the economy, and the thing about food insecurity is it comes from poverty. When we have poverty, it leads to food insecurity. And then she also added a bit on at the end about a lot of poor people don't eat enough fruit and veg, and we should consider an initiative to have, 1950s fucking greengrocers come back at the end of every road. I'm kind of sick of watching millionaires talk about poverty like they've only just fucking heard of it. Oh, I can say fuck. Great. Fuck. And when you don't dress well, you're not going to get a good job. You can't go. If you're a poor person, you can't expect to go to Goldman Sachs and be wearing, bin bags with some shit in your hair and expect to get a job. So it's a vicious cycle. Just listening to myself, and also having already written this bit, I'll write all of this, it's word for word, it's verbatim. Yeah, there's no me just talking to the camera like a lunatic at all. Having written this, I'm a little worried that this makes me sound like an insane conspiracy theorist, but I'm starting to really, really suspect that all of the mainstream news media and entertainment news in its entirety is really about maintaining the status quo. I'm not just talking about, Tucker Carlson, Swanson, piss baby, twat, arse, titwank. But also, the so-called progressives. I agree with almost everything that John Oliver says. The guy lives in a $10 million condo. He makes $15 million a year. Is he giving that all away to, help the fucking starving, of which there are many in this country and abroad? So I hear. I'm definitely not saying that John Oliver should be in rags, or that he shouldn't live in a nice house and have a nice car and go out to meals with his family and have people come up and say, "Are you John Oliver?" and him say, "I am." And then he gives them an autograph. Why not? But, $15 million a year. It's kind of obscene, really. What do you make if you're a nurse? 50? I think you'd probably, have to do quite a few years of training and do like 50 hours a week to make 50. What do you make if you're a soldier? First year, I bet you don't make 20. By the way, caregiver to the elderly, thank you for doing this extremely hard, extremely socially important job. Thank you for looking after my elderly relative. $10 an hour. EMTs making $12 an hour, while the ambulance ride costs $2,000. I actually knew an EMT, and I didn't even know I knew an EMT because, to me, he was a bartender. Because at his weekends, he would tend bar, and he made way more money doing that. And I think he quit being an EMT to be a bartender, because being an EMT, he couldn't live. But apparently we have enough fucking money for John Oliver. I don't know why John Oliver's the target of this. For people such as John Oliver, Roseanne, I bet she makes too much bloody money too. Bloody Roseanne. Gordon Ramsay, rolling in it. What does he do? Just fry some shit up and fucking berate people. But I guess, on the other end, I can scroll and scroll and scroll and look at every bit of the news and look at things that aren't really news but are new. I go, look at this. This is another person beating up another person. Isn't that wrong? Look at this person having a mental breakdown. Isn't that wrong? Look at this person being incredibly selfish. Isn't that wrong? But then if I go the other way and I try to think, imagine I'm trying to look at the cosmic significance of all of this. What was the last bit of important news? World War II ends? Ice Age ends? Idiot monkey falls out of tree. Thus, humanity begins. I don't know. It's quite hard to maintain that perspective, isn't it, when you're living in it? Like if you got, like stranded in the middle of, like the Mojave Desert, if your plane went down, and like the first thing you hear is another survivor going, well, actually, yeah, we are surrounded by hundreds of miles of desert, and we don't have any water, but this is a really small desert, as deserts go. Scientists say depression, normal human state. Prescribe depressives for well-adjusted. Lead in water, make column writer thicker. Hillary Clinton, anagram for I am Satan. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget I've got a Patreon. I'm trying to move into my $10 million condo, so, come on. See you next time. Come on with the money. Bye. The money. The money. Diabolical.